Life often seems to force us to take what it hands out. But what if there's more?
I had the dream of becoming a medical doctor while growing up. And that was because my mom was a doctor. But then, school changed it. And I went on studying science lab tech in the university.
I can't remember ever picking a particular career when I was growing up, but I've always tended towards anything related to sciences. And that's influenced by family. When they feel like they have a brilliant kid, they feel supposed to be in science. So I've always tended towards science. And by the time I got to the early senior secondary schools, it was almost certain I was going to do something with computers, basically. So computer engineer was just about right.
After school, I went for service and I still hadn't had like clarity on what I really wanted to do. I worked in church for a couple of years. I also applied for semicolon at the time, but I couldn't make the transition since I had nobody. Like I didn't know anybody really in Lagos at the time. So I went to PH for work. After a couple of years, I just knew that I needed something different. I wanted to make a decision for myself for the very first time in my life. And I decided to quit my job, moved back to Kaduna, and it was there I did the application for semicolon, took their test, went through the whole process, and wonderful enough, I got admission.
Before semicolon, it was just for semicolon. I was working with state government in one of the government agencies. But way before then, I've had lots of different work experiences. I used to work at a TV station. Basically, I was supposed to be the IT guy in the room. I used to work as a writer, and then I used to work as a social media manager. So it's been a lot of different experiences for me. And so moving to semicolon, well, I was a bit close enough to tech in a way, almost.
Before semicolon, I finished the university, of course, and then I was serving. And during that time, I was also doing one or two business. Like I was doing some businesses, right? It was not just one, it wasn't even two. I was just this hustler looking for money and then just be alright.
I just knew that I needed something different. Then I had a conversation with someone that we worked together in the office, and he said he was leaving for 6 months. I said, where were you leaving to? And he said he was going into tech. When he explained the nature of what he was going to do in Lagos, I said, I'd applied for something like this, something similar like this. And then I knew that, okay, I wanted to make a decision for myself for the very first time in my life.
My tech journey started when I wanted to do a website for my business. And so I went to meet this guy to tell him to help me with it. And he was like, oh, I'll pay this amount of money. And I was surprised because I was like, which kind of job or skill is this that, would make me pay this amount of cash? And then that got me curious to know what this tech, was all about. And then secondly, my brother was already started his journey already. And then it was my go-to at that point. I was also scared somehow because I was like, can I do it? Because I've never heard of tech, and I felt tech was for big people, like people with all these gurus, people, all these nerds that, stuff like that. So for me, it was a big thing. But then I sat down to think of certain things, and then this thought came that, okay, fine. Because leaving 5 years course to come and study, and that thing was just a big thing for me. Like it was somehow. So to me, it was like I wasted 5 years. But then something came to my mind at that point that, you've gotten this education, but not a quality education. And that's like one problem in Africa, whereby we just run after education. Let's just have this degree, but it's not quality enough to qualify us for certain jobs that would even make us live our dream life. So I read about tech and saw more possibilities in it, and so I jumped.
The journey was tough. There were very, very difficult times, like coding in itself. can be very trying, can be very demanding. And there are times that I really felt, do I really want to write this code? Especially when you start meeting those bugs and your programs, your applications are not running, the methods that you're trying to call, so many things that you can encounter when coding. So for a minute there, I thought that I wanted a different kind of tech, maybe venture into quality assurance or product management. But after a while, I went back to my critical thinking, design thinking, and I knew that I had to face this problem and I had to face this challenge and stick to it, and that's what I did.
I had moments of, quitting, giving up, and that was because I've never been on this path before. And so everything was so new to me. It was really big in my eyes. But then I couldn't really tell my brothers, it's just my family, that, I want to drop out from this whole thing, because, I was like, how would it even sound to them? And also, I was also like, I questioned myself that this shouldn't be like a big thing for me to want to give up. Like, I don't give up on things, like, So I had moments I cried. I felt sick at some point. But then I knew that the future of this thing is so bright. This tech thing is so bright, and where I really see myself, this is like a vehicle that can also take me there.
I know a lot of people who actually did, but for me, it was a decision I made very consciously. And I've always felt from the very beginning that I understood the challenge ahead more than most. And, when you've tried to get into tech for a very long time.
What kept me going was the result my brother got. So it was more like this. It was like this role model for me. Secondly, God also, like, I drew strength from, God. Then another thing, the community, seeing people have one story or the other to share, and even the ancestors, they come in once in a while to like motivate us, you understand. And Chief is a very, very good motivator. He comes to the class and then he says this long speech, and then you begin to question again. It's like this thing, I can do it. In short, I've never started. Then you go back with that motivation again to start it. There's something about his voice and his words. So it was also a big thing then. Yeah.
The decision to come, because making that decision for myself, I went against a lot of things to make that decision for myself. And secondly, the community in itself, because I think one of the things that helped us prosper in the journey was the fact that we had people around who could help us when we got to like a trying time. We had our fellow colleagues, we had people who had come before us, we had people below us. So there was just that, you were not left alone. There was just that that whole environment of help.
Semicolon has really changed my thinking, my perspective. It makes me, the whole experience has made me look at things differently, I think more critically now. Secondly, the community has been helpful. It has made me see the importance of placing partnership over competition. It has also made me take opportunities more seriously, discover opportunities, evaluate them, and exploit opportunities. And finally, it has helped me understand the power of an idea and how important it is to place an idea over cash.
Starting from my philosophical beliefs, my perspectives, and how I see myself. When I mean my perspective to the world, then how I see myself. So Semicolon has helped me understand that I can do anything I want to do as far as I put in the right amount of effort.
I don't think the person that relocated here in March 2022 is the same person that I am now, because going through the program and staying in Lagos has been very, very interesting. Semicolon has taught me that I have to trust the journey, trust the process. You might not get it the first time, but when you keep at it, there is always light at the end of it.
Absolutely, 100%. If there's a percentage more than 100, I think yes.
While I was at home saving and doing the business thing, I thought of doing a skill actually. But then where I came from, right, the skills then were just hairdressing, tailoring, bag making, shoemaking, and all. So I felt I was like there's more to that. Like I really didn't see myself fitting that skill.
Some already think I was a guru before I started, basically because I could format the system and reinstall the new Windows on it. So, but I knew what tech really was, and I wasn't really there. And I think that is basically, if there was anything like a calling, that has always been my calling from the very beginning. So it's the perfect fit.
The skills then were just hairdressing, tailoring, bag making, shoemaking, and all. So I felt I was like there's more to that. Like I really didn't see myself fitting that skill, and so I needed something more. But then I really didn't know what else to, like, where would I even see something like that. So seeing tech and entering tech is just so exciting for me, because for me it's like a soft man skill. You get?
It has actually exceeded my expectations, in the sense that coming into Semicolon, I didn't know it was going to be as hands-on as it actually was. You know, everybody dreads midnight snacks from Chibuzo and from other facilitators, you know. So it was really hands-on, and it was even beyond software engineering. In short, they made us have a paradigm shift. They exposed us to a lot. We started the program with design thinking, where they taught us a whole lot. And then we had industrial design class, where we got a lot of international exposure from Dr. Dapo Akintunde. And then after that, we still had other sessions, like the Henley Business School session with Dr. Adeyinka, which was really eye-opening.
From what I expected coming in, yes. In when you compare where you were when you were coming in and where you are right now, you can understand the difference and the changes you've gone through.
It has more than met my expectation. Like, it has led to like a kind of revolution in my mind. The way that I approach life has become different.
I'm very, 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 very happy with my life actually, because I really can't even imagine it if I was still back at Ayobo, you know. I don't know, because I go back there once in a while to just visit my mom and her, but I still imagine, and I'm like, wow, I've grown, even unknowing to me that I'm growing. And then I hear comments from my previous mates in school and some friends kind of, and they're like, Precious, how were you able to get into tech? Like, so your head can become like this and how? And I'm like, it's not your fault. But like, I'm really happy to be studious. I didn't even see myself becoming where I am now presently. I'm really happy that I took this decision, and I'm happy because the future is bright.
Yes, I am happy. I'm happy because the decision to take my life and be in charge of my own decisions has paid off. I am doing something that I love, growing in something that I believe in, and I enjoy it every step of the way.
You too can triumph and come to skill. You can be great if only you will. It all begins with that one step. So start for the top and say, I can.